Hello and welcome to the Siwi Sofa, where we sit down with some of the most interesting participants of this year's World Water Week to learn more about the array of water-related issues being discussed this week in Stockholm. My name is Eric Paglia, host of the Siwi Sofa, which is now being streamed live on the Siwi Media Hub. The name of this session is Why Should I Change My Water Behavior? And in this session, we'll be talking quite a bit about the water situation in Tunisia. And joining me here today, we have Mr. Abdellah Rabi, the Secretary of State of the Ministry of Agriculture, Water Resources and Fisheries of Tunisia. We have Mr. Kames Zayani, who is the Director General of the Agricultural Extension and Training Agency at the same ministry, and Mr. Manfred Matz, the head of GIZ Agir Water Program in Tunisia. Welcome all gentlemen to the Siwi Sofa. Very nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And perhaps Secretary Rabi, could you perhaps tell us about what the major water issues are today in Tunisia?
Thank you for the question. The major issues in Tunisia, water issues in Tunisia, today are natural, technical, anthropogenic, and socioeconomic. Among them, we can remind scarcity, irregularity, quality of water, and unfair spatial distribution of the rainfall. Second, we have an imbalance between evapotranspiration and rainfall, which makes the recourse to irrigation necessary. Unforeseen drought, flooding events are a consequence of climate change. We have overexploitation of the groundwater tables. Also, we have in the region of the coast in Tunisia, we have intrusion of marine seawater. Sealing of dams and lakes are a problem in Tunisia. So, the capacity of dams decrease every year. Relatively high rates of leaks in the irrigation system and in the drinking system water. Low efficiency in irrigation system. We have also, after revolution, illicit pumping and illicit wells. So the groundwater is affected. Underground water in the south are fossil. You know, in the south of Tunisia, dates and Noor, it's the label of the south of Tunisia are affected now. Water transfer over this long distance maybe necessite energy, but is too cost. Low awareness among citizens relating to scarcity, water scarcity, and low recovery of bills related to wells and groundwater. That's the main problem we are confronting now in our strategy. Perhaps, I thank you for the question.
You certainly are facing a wide number of various pressures on water resources in Tunisia. You mentioned a strategy. What is the approach of managing water resources up to now been by the Tunisian government, and where do you see it going after?
For in this time, Tunisian in the past made main strategies that takes 10 years. But now, to alleviate the harmful effects of the issues, we have many points. First, of course, empowerment of mobilization. We do new dams. Now we have more than 45 dams. We have maybe about 5 or 7 dams we are now in construction. Infrastructure hydraulic. We have connection of dams between region and basins. Reuse of treated wastewater. And now we want to use all this water in irrigation, perhaps in industrial crops, and maintenance of all this infrastructure. It needs many money. Now we prepare and carrying out our prospective studies by 1930 and 1950. We prepare that now. All these things we have to do in a short time, because now we have 2 years. It rain less than a normal season. Drought. That long drought. 2 years.
It's obviously a serious challenge. Are there any new innovations in the approach to facing water scarcity that the Tunisian government is focusing on?
Water scarcity is an acute problem in Tunisia. This is why the government pay many attention to this problem. And now we change the strategy founded, focused on the mobilization is not sufficient. Now we have to change awareness of population, and also it's a cornerstone of the new strategy. Now we try to have a change of mentality. We have to work in the school, with women, with youth, to change their mentality regarding to scarcity. And now this program and all the programs give many importance for this way, because mobilization we are now at 90% of surface mobilized, and it's now time to use, in addition to other water like no conventional water, we have also to prepare people to use water efficiently, and we have to prepare farmers to take care of the wells, to waste the groundwater, with how to irrigate it, how to give efficiency irrigation.
So you're moving more and more towards education and behavior change in your approach.
Yes.
And Manfred, in what ways does the GIZ water sector program assist the Tunisian government in moving towards demand management?
Thank you, Eric. Let me just start to explain a little provocative title of this session. Why should I change my water behaviors? Actually, the Secretary of State just talked about changing behavior is one of the cornerstones of the new strategy, and this is the answer, or the title of this session is something like it would be a theoretical answer of a farmer who was told, please reduce your water more efficiently, and he said, why should I change? I will explain you why. We have actually done, and this is its support from the GIZ program, water program, we have identified a system to identify which are actually the triggers which influence the behavior of people, of users, mainly farmers, because 80% of the water resources in Tunisia are actually used by farmers. And we have found out that there are actually 3 main pillars, and you can describe them in kind of a governance triangle, if you want, like that, a behavior change triangle. It looks like this. It has one edge, regulation, which is on the top, one incentives, and one sensitization or conscience building. And we found out that there are many positive things in Tunisia, as for example groundwater abstraction fees, a block tariff system for water supply, which actually go towards a more efficient use of water resources. But we found out that there are as well some problems in law enforcement. The water law is not completely enforced. The fees are not always collected, as well the Secretary of State just mentioned it. And for example, there are subsidies, which is on this level of incentives, financial incentives, which actually go the other way, the bad way, if you want, like that. So if we, as a project, focalize only on sensitization, you might run the risk that you forget about the other drivers which are much more stronger. So the answer of the farmer would be, why should I change my water behavior if they subsidize my production, if they subsidize the electricity? We know, we did this work together, and we have found out that there are lots of things to do, and things which we will be explained by my colleagues are not always probably very much welcomed by the population, but with an explanation of a long-lasting use of water resources, we go forward, and we are confident that we reach the population to understand why some measures have to be taken in order to protect the water resources.
So you've done quite a comprehensive analysis of the situation there, the people, the technologies, the incentives, and all the rest.
Yes, I mean, there are techniques that you can use, as for example dripping irrigation, but just one example. Technically dripping irrigation needs less water, but if you don't put value to the water itself, the water which we are saving will be used somewhere else. And this has found out by many studies in the world now. So actually, my message, don't rely on techniques. You have to change the behavior, and you have to look at all the triggers, all the circle, all the edges of this triangle, in order to see and understand why people probably don't change behavior, and what you have to do to encourage it with nudges, in all of these areas.
Oh, very interesting. And Mr. Zayani, in terms of changing behavior, what best practices or benchmarks has Tunisia already implemented and is in the process of implementing that you would like to share with other countries?
Thanks. But before responding to this question, there is a political aspect of the water resources. And if you allow me, I give the floor to His Excellency, the Secretary of State, to remind us the main orientation about water resources, like agriculture revision for the map and so on. And after that, I will respond to our question, if you allow.
First, we have now make some things for this way, in this way. First, we are now we have a revision of the agricultural map in consultation with all people who are in the domain of agriculture and water. Revision of the water law. It's not revised, and it's made in 1965. Now we have a revision in this law of the water, and investment and encouragement water harvesting. Now we made encouragement for people who try to harvest water from the roof in the field, and we give some incentive for this. Law enforcement of illicit wells. Now we change the law for this way, in this way. Revision of the subsidies in the irrigation sector. Compulsory hydraulic audit for the grid water consumer. And new urban building must have the water to irrigate crops, to make something flat, and it's a good program now. We elaborate that, and Mr. Zayani can finish.
Okay, thanks. So to change the mindset and the mentalities of people and the water users, the Tunisian policy is multidimensional and focuses on 6 main points. First of all, we are trying to foster the capacity building through training of engineers, technicians, and extension agents. Second, we are applying a transparency policy through the access to information about water resources. Information is available on the website of the Ministry of Agriculture, Water Resources and Fisheries, about the situation of dams. Third, there is a trend, new trend, to create a lobby to gain the cause of water resources through training of journalists to make them acquainted with the issue. And some visits are organized by Mr. the Secretary of State to these journalists, to dams, to discover the reality. Also, we are encouraging the civil society to be involved in the management and stewardship of water resources through a participatory approach. Also, there is a strong awareness that farmers and users should be involved in the management of water resources at the local level through the private PPP, private-public partnerships. And finally, there is a large campaign for sensitization of people and consumers to save water. We are doing some emission on the radio, on TV, on the net. We are preparing also brochures, banderoles in the gas station, in the buses, and everywhere in Tunisia. And many others measures and action are now under studying, and we hope to gain this battle of water resources management, wise water management, because it's very important to our country. And thanks.
It's like a battle, as you mentioned. It's a high priority for the government.
Battle, yes.
And Secretary Rabi, what does the government consider to be realistic objectives for changing behavior over the next few years?
Thank you. We are convinced to change behavior over the next year is realistic. And as you see, we began. But challenging, even though not always popular. Nevertheless, a continuous momentum and work maintained in matter of education, sensitization. Message should be oriented primarily to youth and women. The government has recently empowered an increase of drinking water price. Indeed, the price is another level to change the culture of water saving among population. However, this policy should be carried out with caution in this post-revolution phase. But now, with these programs and what we did from more than years, we feel that population that can give more attention for this problem. And we began perhaps to change, but it's a long way. And we are convinced that we can change together with civil society, with institutions, with media, and with people, with children, and we have to change this because there is no another way. There is no another way. Water is life. Our constitution gives this good place for good rate for this right to access to water, and people must take care with. And we are optimistic, but we are also we have to work hard for this in this way. Thank you.
You're optimistic but realistic.
Okay.
What is the added value of the German cooperation for the Tunisian government?
German cooperation dates from long date. and we made a good project, long project. After the revolution, this program has were very strongly, and we have many programs. Construction of dams, program with GZ, as you see now, programs with transfer water from one region to another, programs for changing. We have now many seawater osmotic desalination plants. We have main project, but we find it an exemplary cooperation between two nations, German people. Perhaps more programs will be prepared now, and we are optimistic, and we thank our cooperation and our German friend people.
Very good. And Manfred, as the head of the German work on with GIZ on water resources management in Tunisia, what would be your three main messages to water practitioners based on GIZ's experience in Tunisia and with the approach you have developed there?
The first message would be demand management. You should consider demand management as a change of behavior. And this change of behavior is not only users, it is as well on the level of administration and of course politicians. So when you apply, for example, the triangle which I showed you, the three corners which are regulation, incentives and conscious building or sensitization, you should apply these three as well to the three levels, political level, decision makers, administration and users. And then you find out that there are different triggers on each level and on each of these corners of the governance trialing. So you have a 3x3 approach somehow. The second one is that the political will, I mean it has been mentioned already, is very important. So the decision makers must have the political will to do something, and as well to apply these incentives which are actually necessary for the population to understand that the change is needed, and as well to accompany them with the explanation why is it necessary. We know that, you know, saving water now might look for some people a hard job to do, but if you explain them that the future of your children is for your children and the future of your business is probably, you know, under threat if you don't change now, you have actually a good point to do. And this is what you should do, and this is what the government should transfer through its will, a political will. The third one and the last, but not the least one, is if you look at your water balance and you see it is actually not balanced in your country, look at water saving as one of the least costly source of additional water, and go for water demand management. Thank you.
And this behavior change model you've developed here, is it also being applied in other countries as well? Or is Tunisia like a pilot project, or?
We could say so. It's actually the first country that we are developing this approach, and we are actually some kind still of, you know, in a work process with colleagues from GIZ in other countries. But probably the next year here at the World Water Week we will roll it out fully.
No, it seems quite fascinating and very impressive series of measures you're taking in Tunisia to address the water challenges you have there, from large infrastructural projects to the changing of behaviors and looking at young people and women as key agents of change over time. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me here on the Siwi Sofa, and best of luck with water management in Tunisia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for tuning in to the Siwi Sofa. Stay tuned for more episodes throughout the World Water Week.